So you good to go? You all ready?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
You're good to go.
Got my event horizon.
I've already been recording, sir. He nearly just spoiled it
have
with his
you?
little, what's it going to be called? Anyway, welcome to the final part
Yeah.
of our... I'm surprised, this was only meant to go 2 episodes, but we talked for so long in the first episode.
One episode.
Was it what? It was, you're right. It was going to be a
one
long
episode, but it was just... when we stopped recording... The lost episode, it was 3 hours long. That was only with, like, my 5. It was 3 hours long.
Yeah.
That was too long.
We hadn't even got... I think, we'd done, we did your 5. We didn't go back and forth, did we?
No, we didn't. We did my 5 because this was supposed to be the first episode, wasn't it? The very first podcast episode. And when we realised it was 3 hours long, we realised that we had to stop waffling. Well, not waffling. We kept going off on massive tangents too much.
We did, but it worked as a good tester.
Oh, it did
in a way.
I think if we did that again, if we live streamed that'd be a good way to just keep talking. But I think with the learning curve was we have to make sure we try and stay on, our points that we had.
Exactly.
Shall we say?
And I would say over time we've not to big us up anymore, but I think we've
matured.
We've matured. We've grown into this role of worldwide famous podcast hosts.
Exactly.
So yes, this is the final part. We're going to go just quickly through our number ones, our numero unos. Oh, this is episode 7, by the way. Episode 7 of the Dreadcast.
I thought it was episode 6. No, it is episode 7. I was getting myself confused.
No.
I will admit I am so behind with uploading these episodes to YouTube. I'm looking at my laptop right now and it's only just uploading that episode, the Texas episode.
Whoa. Well, don't worry, folks. You don't need to watch that one anyway, so it's fine.
Please don't.
You don't need to watch the film or that. Well, actually, you need to watch the review.
Listen to the review. Just don't watch the film.
Well, thankfully, all the episodes so far are up on Spotify. I'm getting a plug in here. Are up on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, Podbean, and Amazon/Audible by searching the Dreadcast. And and they are on my YouTube channel because I am a good boy. And I've uploaded all of them so far. So just go to YouTube and search the Dread. I'm a better human being than you are. That's what you're saying. That's exactly
emotional damage. That is. Oh, ow.
Well, with that out of the way,
I think it's time to get down to our number ones, then, isn't it?
Let's get it done and dusted.
Which one of us are going first?
Well,
do you want to lead this one, or do you want me to jump into it?
Well, you nearly did, so I think
I nearly did. I nearly kind of blurted out some stuff. All right, I'll go into it. So my number one, my personal favorite horror film of all time. I think this is probably. Yep.
Just
you're stopping me already.
No, I'm not. I just thought something. Do you want to just run down your 5 so far?
Oh
just
my gosh, I would love to.
Just in case people are new to this episode,
That is true. Kid you not, I am terrible with my memory. But here we go. My top 5. So yeah, my top 5. So we did this for all the new listeners who may be jumping in with the top. Personal recommendations for you is 5 to 3 are the bronzes. No particular order. Still an impact, but nothing groundbreaking.
No.
Number 2 is obviously our silver edition. That was the one that we were like, that was tasty. That was.
That has its place.
And of course, our number ones.
2.
Exactly. And the number 1 is of course the big gold star.
The big cheese, the big kahuna.
The big cheese, exactly. This is going off my old top 5 list, so I've got to try and remember what my top 5 was. So, of course, in no particular order, I had Alien, which was, let's face it, a cracking film by Ridley Scott. We had number 4, we had Jaws, which, again, perfect film. I remember what it was now. Jaws was good because Steven Spielberg took literally a great white shark and managed to terrify people so much that he single-handedly started causing people to kill sharks. Probably wasn't intention, but that's what happens, and that shows what a good amount of fear can do to people. Yep. Number 3 was No, not number 3. Number 3 was the Terminator film.
There we go.
Nearly said
four,
my number 2.
Number 4 was Terminator for you, but it doesn't matter because 5, 4, and 3 are kind of in the same ballparks. Yeah,
exactly. The Terminator was the one that I added in after watching the Terminator again because I think it's a great film because, as we discussed, it's one of those genre bending films. Is it a sci-fi film? Is it an action film? Is it a horror film? Technically, is it a slasher film? Because let's face it, he kills a lot of people in that film.
I never considered that.
Yeah. What I loved about this film was the fact it was released in late 1970s, 80s, I believe it was. And this was before we had things like I think it was 1984. And this was before we had the internet, we had, wireless cell phones, and it created this fear of a future of AI that, quite frankly, a lot of the big tech giants now are actually going, we might want to be careful here because this is becoming a bit of a reality. And I think it's great that fear is actually, exactly, might want to hold off. Maybe don't hand over the nuclear codes to a machine that, we don't know if it hates us or not. My silver medal, of course, went to The Grudge. Now, let's be honest, it was the American Grudge. It's not a good film. It's got its moments, we agreed. It's got a few jump scares that we didn't mind, but overall, it's a bit Diet Coke-ish compared to the Coke.
I think number 2 was Jaws. I think it went Alien, Terminator, Grudge, Jaws.
Alien, Terminator, Grudge.
Either way, those are the 4 before the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, my 2 to 5 can be interchangeable, depending on my mood, I suppose. And so we had The Grudge. The reason this was in because it gave me nightmares every time I watched it, and honestly, it took me up to, I think it was like I was 24, 25, something like that, before I finally managed to watch this film and realize just how daft it was. But it still stays with me because it had that incredible impact every time I watched it. I hated that noise that whatever her name was. Yeah, I thought you were going to do it. As soon as I saw you lean to the microphone. Of course you're going to do it. The little boy freaked me out because I was terrified that it was going to be hiding under my duvet covers, as in that scene as well.
Yeah.
And I just had to put it on this list because it's a naff film, but it still has a special place in my heart.
And that's it. It's the impact. It's the impact. That's what counts,
exactly.
I think.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's the impact. So, did you want to run down your 5 to 4, or should we do yours?
I'll do
after
mine.
My top
I'll do
one?
mine when I get to mine. Yeah.
Do yours. All right then.
I'll do mine.
So I'll jump back into it. So my number 1, it's another sci-fi horror film. I almost gave this away when I was talking about Alien. I almost revealed what it was, but I stopped myself. I'm pretty glad about that. So of course, my number 1 is the sci-fi film Event Horizon. To me, this is up there with Alien because not at this point in time there weren't many I don't think many space horror films around at that time. This was released, I believe it's 1980s, I think it was.
We've established so many times before.
Sorry.
Space. Sorry, I'm just saying we've established so many times before that space horror is so rare. It really is quite a rare thing.
As we found out when we both replied to that tweet about could horror be set in space? A lot of people think no. A lot of people think yes. It's personal opinion. It's 1997. I've just realised I've got it right up there. So it was released in 1997. The director was, of course, Paul W.S. Anderson.
His best film.
Who, of course, is most famous. Yep, his best film, because after that he did the Resident Evil films, although I'll give him props. I quite liked the first Resident Evil and Apocalypse. I did not like the ones after that because they were naff.
First one was good, yep. First one was good. Second one was watchable. Was
pretty good.
I like Nemesis in it.
Oh, Nemesis was good. Plus, you had a killer soundtrack. You had Slipknot, Killswitch Engage. Oh, some of those big guys. He also did Mortal Kombat 2 years before he did Event Horizon.
He did do Mortal Kombat. Actually, that might be his best film.
Well, I'm looking up his list of films, and it's mainly either Resident Evil or Death Race. Actually,
which one?
The remake of Death Race.
It's like
he did. I think he did the one that started with Jason Statham.
Yeah,
he did that 1 and above.
And he also did
he's
the
the-
awful Monster Hunter film with
He did! Yep, yep,
his
yep.
wife Mila Djokovic as well, because they have to do films
yes.
together. But I think no, Event Horizon.
I did hear a rumor.
Go on.
Well, I heard a rumor. Obviously, it's a complete tangent to a horror film, but when they released the Expendables films, Sylvester Stallone films, they were toying with the idea of releasing a series called The Expendables, an all-female cast of bringing in all the final girls into a mercenary team. And Mila S. Djokovic was one of the ones who was tagged to do it. And I believe, if I remember rightly, she was actually supposed to appear in The Expendables 4 as one of the characters, but obviously it didn't pan out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be pretty cool. Can you imagine that? You get Ed and Ripley, you get Alice from Resident Evil, you could throw in some of the, the slasher survivors. It'd be amazing.
So what was he talking? Because obviously the Expendables is the action heroes, and you're talking horror girls. So they weren't doing
not
action...
the horror girls, but
or just
it was
general.
mainly the action. So what they wanted to do was, in general, they wanted to create a female Expendables team.
Yeah.
But bring in a lot of the ladies of the action genres, like Sigourney Weaver, Mila Djokovic, all of the big names from there. And go right. Here we go. It's your turn now. Let's get on with this. I don't know what's kind of happened with it. I think it's kind of got a bit quiet. So
it could work.
It could work. It might be quite fun.
Yeah.
I personally would pay to see a film where, I don't know how they do it, but all the final girls get sucked into some sort of slasher dome, and they're like, right, here's all the bad guys, and they're like, yeah, we got this, don't worry, and they have a big fight. That'd be amazing.
That's kind of actually...
Someone write that down.
There's something like that in, I think, the 5th Resident Evil film, where she's in a big, ridiculous underground dome where they put in all these holograms, these zombies, these monsters.
Oh,
it's so dumb. It's so dumb. And Resident Evil is dumb. The game series, the game series are ridiculously stupid, but it gets a pass. The films are dumb.
I mean, the first game, like Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2, these are the games.
Yeah,
they were great games for their times. They were they paved the way for so much more. The films are just who knows what the films are doing. They're just something in them. Well, they scrapped the films. They were going to remake the films. Thankfully, they didn't, because that'd be just terrible.
We can easily do a Resident Evil franchise talk, because I have a lot to say on that.
I would love to do that. Not gonna lie, Mila Djokovic is one of my top favorites.
Oh really? Well then.
Well, I mean, anyway.
We digress. We digress.
We digress so hard. But back to Event Horizon. So I won't go too much into the plot of this film, because I personally want our viewers to go and see this film, because it's just a bit of a weird... It's a weird film. No, it's not a weird film. No, it is. It is a weird film. It is a weird film because it has so many different genres. Oh, God, what is my computer doing? Stop it. The screen's going up and down. It's got so many different genres thrown into it that you're never quite sure what you're watching. So it's a horror film, but when you look at it, it's also kind of a thriller film. And then if you look at it again, it's a sci-fi horror film. It's a massive body horror film, because let's just face it, stuff gets messed up in this film.
Yeah.
There's some elements of paranormal in this. With some bits that I won't go into. And also, maybe a bit more.
A bit.
There's some technology, like some Terminator-esque technology stuff going a bit wonky. And as I realized before we start recording this, it's also got some elements of the Scream whodunit mystery type thing thrown in there, because that's the whole kind of plot of the film. So, without ruining the film, pretty much what it is, the year is 2040, and there's a big giant ship. It's been set off on a journey. It's going off to do something, and it vanishes. Just disappears. No one knows where it's gone. They can't get hold of it. It's gone. And in 2047, it reappears just on the outskirts of Neptune. And the Event Horizon's back. It's destroyed. It's jacked up. It's in bad condition. So they scramble a crew and say, right, the ship's gone missing for 7 years. Land there and find out what's going on. And as soon as they land, that's when everything just goes to pot. I mean, I think at that point in time, the film really does ramp up. ramps up and it doesn't really let you stop. And
I think
it's
one
just a
thing
great
you
film.
could say that isn't a spoiler.
Oh yeah.
That, as you mentioned, it reappears. The ship comes back into like.
Yes, it does.
Into, I don't know, radar, like a satellite. They can tell the ship is back.
The outskirts of our solar system.
But it's that return that not so necessarily brings back an evil, but the return itself is the catalyst as to what goes on.
Yeah, exactly. So it returns. Yes, it's like you said. It returns to our solar system. Needless to say, it's brought something back.
Yes,
and it's up to this poor rescue crew to find out what's going on. And there are some big names in this film.
Oh yeah,
some incredible names. You have Lawrence Fishburne, obviously famous for Morpheus and some other films, but most known as Morpheus. You have Sam Neill, who's one of the big names. You also have, let me look down, Sean Pertwee, Jason Isaacs. There are Jolie Richardson. There are some big characters, big actors and actresses in this film that have some horrible things done to them. Let's face it.
Yep.
Annoyingly, though, and I know you're gonna chime in with this because we discussed this that fateful day in that pub where we birthed the Dreadcast. Is there will not be a director's cut of this film.
I was hoping you'd bring that up. Yeah. The director's cut that's lost down a salt mine and will never see it will never see the light of day.
God damn.
There were some screen grabs originally taken from that were bandying around the internet for quite some time, but I don't. Yeah, at least I thought they were from the director's cut. I might be wrong, but I spent a good time trying to hunt for those. Because there was some sick shit, and I mean sick in both ways. Yeah. There was some sick stuff in that director's cut that did not see the light of day. And I love that from the creative sense.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were discussing this when we were looking at this when we initially were coming up with the Dreadcast ideas, and I mentioned Event Horizon was my favorite horror film. One of the elements that it's when I mentioned the body horror, is it's got very. Not as in your face kind of BDSM tones as Hellraiser does, but you could see how potential. Actually, when did Hellraiser come out? Was that first or was that afterwards? Let's have a look.
Hellraiser was after. Way before. Hellraiser was way before.
No, 10 years before. Oh yeah,
yeah.
10 years before Event Horizon. And I don't want to ruin it, but there's a great scene where this kind of. I'm going to call it the Hellraiser effect.
There's Hellraiser tendencies to it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
there's a scene in, I believe it's the dining room. Yes, exactly. I don't know who the character... I can't remember who the character is. It might be Jason Isaacs' character. Someone's character goes into the dining room, and there's just this carnage in this dining room where it's very much feels like it's inspired by Hellraiser. There are chains everywhere. There's hooks. There is stuff that shouldn't be outside of people's bodies flying around. And when I saw this for the first time, honestly I thought I was going to be sick because I'm like, that is disgusting.
I think it's a good macabre concoction of just evil.
It really is
satanic tools and satanic tools. Weapons. It's the gore as well. Isn't so much someone's been gutted, gory. It's more terrifying gore.
It's very visceral.
If you know what I mean? Yeah, very visceral. Brilliant. That's the word. Yeah, it's very visceral. It's very well subtly done, and it's not so much. Like I said, it's not so much a head explosion or a gutting. It's worse. Like how we kind of describe Martyrs. You know, the gore in that.
Yes.
It's more stomach churning.
It's hard to watch
because of the context of how it's done.
Yeah.
When we talked about Dawn of the Dead, I talked about the head explosion. That's nothing.
Oh yeah. I need to watch that. Not Dawn of the Dead. I need to watch that particular bit in particular because it sounds quite interesting. I'm looking at screen grabs of this film now, and like when I see something, I'm like, oh my god, I remember that because I don't know which bit this bit's from. I can't really describe it because we might get taken down by YouTube describing what I'm saying. But it is very much as it. I'm not going to talk about it because it will give it away. And like I said, I want people to go out and watch this film. Obviously, if you're not a fan of over the top visceral gore, you may not enjoy it. Well, you probably will, but there will be some scenes that might put you off a little bit.
I think that's the beauty of doing our top.
Like you said, the director's cut had so much more.
Oh, yes.
And yet, when you watch this film, some of the stuff they left in already is pretty kind of over the top already. So whatever was in that director's cut, if I had enough money, I would pay him to just do the film again. Say, look, just whatever you cut out last time, please shove it back in, or just describe it to me, because that'd be amazing. I would love to have that described to me.
Yeah.
So I can't really go too much into what this film is about. It will pretty much give away the entire plot, and that's kind of sad because I want you to watch it. But for me, even though I loved Alien, I think Alien, comparing these two films, Event Horizon and Alien, because obviously they're both sci-fi horror films, I would have to distinguish. Alien is my favorite sci-fi, I guess, monster horror, if we could call it that. Because obviously the main villain is a xenomorph, an alien creature, whereas this is it's a pure sci-fi horror film. And I could not stop watching this film when it came out. I had to, every time I went past like one of these big kind of scenes where something nasty is going down, I'd get past it, and then that curious part of my mind was like, you know what, no, I have to watch that again. I have to just see how they did that. And even as I grew older and I did a few special effects courses, and you kind of know how things are made, even though I knew sort of like, oh, well, I know that's like a fake shoulder, or that's a fake body part, and that's, tomato ketchup or whatever they're throwing out there.
Mm.
With this film, even though I knew that, it still managed to make me feel that shudder and that, oh, God, could you imagine if that was actually happening with this evil that, has been brought back? And that's why I love this film so much. It just, every time I watch it, it causes me to become that child again. I watched horror films way too young. It's what he said.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I'm not more warped than I am. But it takes me back to that special time when I saw it for the first screening, and it was like, oh my God, if this is sci-fi horror, if evil like this exists out in the universe, I do not want to be around when it comes back or it finds its way to our Earth, because it would just be terrifying.
Yeah. Well, at least with the xenomorph, you can see it.
At least with the xenomorph.
And you can try to deal with it. When this is... This is like an invisible Pinhead Hellraiser scenario.
It really is.
It really is. I also want to say I love the set. The set design is incredible, but I love how much of a different type of spaceship it is to the Nostromo. Nostromo. Sorry, I can never pronounce it. Right.
Yeah,
the shipping
yeah.
Aliens. Yeah.
The Nostromo.
Nostromo. That's it. I may have got that wrong. That might be the shipping aliens. I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, the US.
It is the one in Alien.
Nostromo.
Okay, so that has a much more grimy, gritty, industrial feel, whereas the Event Horizon, is designed. It's like it's properly designed, like it's been architecturally designed.
It's much more of a kind of exploratory ship. So it's designed to be lived in for a longer period of time whilst they're out and about doing whatever they're doing. Can't really say much because it will give away the plot. So, and I think that's quite interesting. Yeah, if you were to put the two of them side by side with a Nostromo, you'd expect to go on that ship and be like, yeah, I can wear, doesn't matter what I smell like, doesn't matter what I look like, because we're on a disgusting ship, so who could be anything. Whereas if I was on the Event Horizon, I'd want to look nice for, the unseen evil that you never see before it starts stalking me. And I think that's another thing that is really good about this film is it affects the evil affects the characters, all the characters differently, which I think is fantastic. It kind of, again, maybe similar to kind of Pennywise in that regard. I was about to say Hellraiser, but it's not. More similar to Pennywise, where he affects the kids differently, so he can sense what their kind of fears are. Obviously, he does it in a bit of a not a jokey manner. Well, actually, no, in a bit of a jokey manner. He likes to he likes to tease his victims before he dispatches them. Whereas the evil in Event Horizon's just like, no, I'm going to take whatever you fear, crank it up to the maximum setting it can possibly be, and then you're just going to have to, well, try and survive, really, I guess. Spoilers, not a lot of them do, but, it's a horror film set in space, so,
It's wild. Like, I'm just going through some Google images of shots from the Event Horizon.
It's nasty, isn't it?
It's a shame this film flopped, and it did.
I know
it really didn't do well.
Oh yeah,
that doesn't bode well for obviously Paul W.S. Anderson, but whatever. He's had much experience in flops, but
yes,
the design of the effects and mutilation and gore and whatnot it's so on point. Like I said, it's not a simple gutting. It's very specific. It's really well thought out where all the, I don't know, incisions and horrible, whatever, again, we're not going too much into what the gore actually is, but it's very specifically designed, it looks like. Looks like a lot of work was really put into it.
Oh my God, this film is so fucking graphic. Jesus.
Which, Event Horizon,
yeah, I'm just looking at I'm just remembering how messed up this film was. I got to give props to Sam Neill for this. His acting in this is just incredible. Yeah, it is. I'm looking forward to seeing him back in Jurassic Park as well. It's going to be amazing. Not that that's... I mean, would you class Jurassic Park as a horror film? Just a random thought.
No.
People get... Oh, damn.
I mean, action adventure.
Yeah, more action adventure.
I kind of like how people might find Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom quite scary. Specifically that one.
Oh, that one wasn't it? That one was actually
it's not really a horror.
Dark.
It's got just scary aspects to it that you get past.
Yeah, it's the especially the temple bit.
Like with
that's Indiana Jones.
With doing this top 5 is that there's a lot of plots we haven't fully explained, and I think as well as doing the top 5 and not explaining the plots, we're trying to encourage people to watch these films if you haven't.
Yeah.
Because that's why they're in the top 5. We think they're great films, so we don't want to spoil them for you.
We would prefer it if you guys watched these films. Obviously, like I said, Event Horizon is my favorite film of all time, and I have no doubt that we will, when we do this probably film in a film review, as I'm sure we'll do your number one. When we get to that, of course, we'll talk about the plot. We'll go really into it. We pull out the trivia, some goofs that there are. Yeah. There, of course, will be spoilers in that. But for these, it's just sort of a little... I like this because it terrified me as a kid. Yeah. It introduced me to body horror in a very messed up way, let's be honest. I saw this before Hellraiser, and then when I saw Hellraiser, I'm like, I've seen that already.
Yeah, we're explaining why there are top 5s. We're not explaining every single bit about the film. No. So hopefully these act as good top 5s for if you've not seen them. But I might check that out. Note that down. Go check that out. They haven't spoiled stuff for me. Just got the premise and whatnot. So
to round it off, Event Horizon, 1997, Paul W.S. Anderson's probably his like we said, his greatest director feat. Philip Eisner, the writer. Well done, lad. Terrified me. Good job. And do go and see this because it is a cracking piece of film that is one of the great, in my opinion, it's one of the great sci-fi horror films. It crosses horror, it's a thriller, it's a mystery whodunit. It's a body horror, chains up your ass. Well, actually, there probably is a chain up someone's ass in this film if you think about it.
I'm trying to think if that actually happens.
It probably happens in the dining scene, let's be honest.
It may happen.
No, it does happen.
Does it?
There's a bit happens near the end where there's a girl in the cockpit and stuff.
Oh, yeah, all right. Oh.
Anyway, it's only an hour and a half, so it's not a long film. So you could, do check it out. 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb, so it's better than, as we said, Scream 3. So if you find yourself and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, yes, if you find yourself this weekend with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the new one, Scream 3, or Event Horizon, pick Event Horizon because you'll have a much better time than the other two. I can hear my dog snoring in the background as well. Apologies for that.
You'll somewhat have a better time while also having a not so good time.
No, I mean, if you've never watched horror films before and you're new to horror films, if you jump straight into this, you'll have a good education.
Oh, it's a great starting off horror film for a new horror fan. It's a brilliant start.
It really is. You'll have a wonderful. Get some popcorn, maybe a pillow because
make a day of it.
Make a day of it. Tell you what, make a day of it. Watch Event Horizon, and then watch Tom's number 1, and then you'll have the full package right there.
You're all done, aren't you? That's it.
Yep.
That's 5.
That's it.
That's 5.
Top
We're
5 done.
Dreadcast done. We don't need to do any more now. Nice 7-part podcast series, and that's it.
But before we go, episode 8, we'll lose the episode, so you never get episode 8. It'll be fine.
Yes. Well, no, you've watched our film for episode 8.
I have watched. Yes.
And I'm going to be. So we have to do that episode. That'll be next week's episode, folks. That'll be a doozy. That'll be a doozy, and that is not well. It's not a very well known film, we'll say.
No, it's not. But that's like we were saying beforehand, like we were saying before this recording. We'd like to going forward with the Dreadcast. We want to throw in some kind of
some curveballs,
some rare gems that we may come across in our travels through the horror genre. As I was saying to Tom earlier, I found a great one called Pin that we're going to do a review on. It's
very intrigued.
Very weird late 90s film.
Yeah.
That we won't spoil it for you. We'll go into a film review because it looks interesting, and we're going to throw in some curveballs for you. It's a few smaller gems compared to the big AAA films that we
love our classics, we love our slashers, but there's also some hidden treasures. No, I don't.
Oh yes.
A lot of the streaming services, to be honest, have dirge. They have their top maybe 10 good horror films, and then the rest is dirge. Like Larmageddon. I'm not going to watch that. That's never going to be on this podcast.
Killer Sofa.
Ever. I'm vetoing it now. Killer Sofa. I'm vetoing it. Veto.
Are you vetoing the Killer Sofa? Or are you vetoing?
Are you saying Killer Sofa's worthwhile?
No, I've never seen it, but it's part of the dirge. It just appeared on Amazon one day. It's like, would you like to watch Killer Sofas? Well, I mean, why not?
All right,
why not?
I've just vetoed. I'm vetoing Larmageddon.
All right, you can veto Larmageddon, but films like Deathbed, which it's just weird.
We could do
to be fair, you can't. We could do like a dirge film.
Like an episode of going through like 5 of them. Pick 5 or 3 each, and then just okay.
That'd be amazing.
Well,
we are. I mean, we got a special episode coming up. I do think we should do some holiday themed ones. I think Easter's coming up soon, and that's
recommend. Yes, I do, and holiday themed horror film is a nice little tease to next week's episode.
Yep.
But as of now, we have one more bit of business to deal with.
We do.
And that would be my numero uno. Now,
yes.
Let's quickly go through the 5 to 2. I believe number 5 was the French sadistic horror being Martyrs.
Oh, yeah.
Much like, obviously, go watch Event Horizon if you're new to horror. Go watch Martyrs if you're new to horror. It's a great stepping stone. It's a brilliant stepping stone. To be fair, as well, with Martyrs, if you're going to get into horror, why not start with Extreme? Why not get balls deep into horror and go straight to Martyrs? In all seriousness, though, it's a disturbing film. We're just going to leave it at that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? It's a very disturbing film, but it's good. Number 4 was another European horror film called Wreck. Spanish horror film.
Yep.
You may have heard of it more than you may have heard of Martyrs. It was remade into Quarantine, which is obviously the American audiences can't be dealing with foreign films, have to remake, blah, blah, blah. It's a bad remake. Go watch Wreck. It's fantastic. Yes. It's about 80, 85 minutes, I think you said last when you watched it.
It's literally just over an hour.
It's a quick watch. It's a great watch. And the last 10 minutes are some of the best 10 minutes you'll see in a horror film.
Oh, it is that staircase scene.
Yeah. Staircase to the attic, and that is all I will say. It is a POV film, but it works in its context. Content.
It's not as bad as some POV films. Some POV films are just unwatchable, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But this one, they got it right.
Which really made me think a lot, when we were talking about The Wreck, made me think a lot more closely about Cloverfield. And I love the premise of the film, but how I really, really hate the way the context for the camera. Because a monster is destroying New York, and he's still holding this fucking camera. Wreck.
That's what we're saying.
There's a reason for this camera needs to be held and recording. Wreck. Recording.
Well, we said that in the episode, didn't we?
We did,
and a lot of these POVs where, like I said, some monster is destroying the city, they're holding the phone, record it. It's like, it's a Godzilla-sized monster. Trust me. Yeah. Everyone will believe you if you told them you saw this monster. It's like, yes, mate, we know it's leveled a city. Trust me, you don't need to record this.
Well, you talk about.
Although to be fair,
here we go. We're gonna sound old.
Godzilla,
if Godzilla, I'll be filming that for a bit.
Yeah, to be fair, Zilla appeared on the my Netflix recommended. I'm like, nope, not watching that. I think they even changed the name now to Zilla. You sure we don't want to review Zilla?
Quick fun bit of tidbit. I've packed it away now as I'm moving house at the moment. I have a signed DVD of the 98 Godzilla signed by Jean Reno.
That's so cool.
Leon himself. Anyway, number 3.
Godzilla aside.
I think that's where I was at. So we've done Martyrs, we've done Wreck. Number 3.
Martyrs, done Wreck.
Number 3 is the 1978 George A. Romero Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, yes.
One of the best zombie films ever made. Zombies themselves, not scary. The film itself is not scary, but as a whole, it is one of the best zombie films ever made. It's one of the best horror films ever made. And it's George A. Romero. Apart from Land of the Dead onwards. Night, Dawn and Day. I class that as just a trilogy. Forget The Land, Survival, Diary, of all the other ones that got made. That is a solid trilogy. All 3 are great, but Dawn of the Dead, to me, has a special place in my horror heart.
Yeah. It was a pretty groundbreaking film, let's be honest. I mean, he pretty much sparked the zombie genre with his films that are still going on today, actually.
Yeah, I mean, you had a few minor ones, especially, I think one of the first credited ones was I Walked with the Zombie, which we established in the last episode. It's more voodoo-based, whereas these zombies, there's never really an explanation, which is always nice. I always love, you don't need an explanation. We don't need like an origin story. We don't need explanations to monsters. Just let it happen and let viewers' mind go wild.
I would love it. See, I would love it if they did a new zombie film. You never find out why. It's like, how do you think it started? I'd be like, I think he ate some bad chicken. He ate some bad chicken, and he turned into a zombie. It's like, yep, cool, let's go with that. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
although, to be fair, if you are looking for a zombie film to watch, yeah, exactly. There is I can't remember what the film is. I think it's a film called Cargo. It's a zombie film. I know I'm hijacking your top 5.
No, go.
You have to check out this film. It's called Cargo. It stars Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
And it's about this guy. He's trying to transport this, I don't know if it's his daughter. I think it's his daughter, to a safe place in this zombie apocalypse. And it's not a spoiler because is it a spoiler? It might be a spoiler. I'm not going to say anything then. But check it out. It's a very well done zombie horror film.
Yep.
But it's one of those films. It's hard to watch because of the concept of the film. It's not an easygoing film. It's Martin Freeman plays it so well, but as the film goes on, you just like with Martyrs, we said about the 2 girls. You just want to reach in and try and pull them out of the film and help them. And I watched this film, and I was at the end of it. I was like, "Oh my god, I I am so down right now because of what happens. So check out Cargo. It's a great film.
Sold it.
And I don't like zombie films. I'm not a fan of them. But this one I was like, oof, okay, you did something good there. Anyway,
and number 2
your top
is
list.
John Carpenter's, 1978, great year for horror, Halloween.
It was, yes.
I mean, I don't even need to say much more about Halloween. It's a perfect horror film.
Myers.
It's Michael Myers. It's a perfect horror film. And speaking of perfect horror films, oh wait, no, go on. Yeah.
I was about to say, I reckon if we built a time machine, we're going straight back to 1978, aren't we? Going to go back in time, get all the posters down, get them to sign them. It's like, great year for horror. Amazing.
It's a very good year for horror, yeah. But as I said, that is a perfect horror film. There is another perfect horror film in my eyes. Now, this to me is this is my favorite horror film of all time, and it's also, I believe, a masterpiece in filmmaking.
Okay.
And that film in question is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation.
Oh, okay.
No. I just wanted to see your reaction. Of course, it's not that film. That film's a piece of shit.
I was sitting there thinking, wait, hang on. I'm fairly certain I know what film it is. I'm like, has it changed its title?
That film's a piece of shit. That's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4 with Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger. That film is incredibly amazing, but really shit.
Yeah. See, you beat me to the punch with the joke, because when you said the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I was like, oh, the 2022 model, right? Yeah. Yep.
No, it's of course it's not. It's the original from 1974, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, made by Tobe Hooper. This film, it's a masterpiece. It's an absolute masterpiece in filmmaking. It can be a slow burn, especially I think to a modern audience.
Yeah.
Modern audiences.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, I haven't asked. I haven't done a survey on modern audiences, but I'm assuming we should do a survey. You compare what this is like to, say, a modern horror. There's no impactful scores. There's no
really no.
There's not a plethora of jump scares.
No,
There's certainly no gore. Well, little to no gore.
No, that's true. Very little, isn't there?
It's very simplistic, this film. And I think that goes hand in hand with why I liked Halloween as well. Very simplistic.
Yeah, it's the opening has got to be one of the best, I've got to say.
The opening text crawl.
Like credits. Yeah. Opening text crawl, not credits crawl. That's at the end. That, when I first saw it, it was just like, oh, okay, this is all right, pretty nice.
Which yourself, you voiced a nice little intro for when we did our Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I did,
review.
yes. Yeah, we edited it, didn't we? Yeah. That was I had fun doing that. That was great fun.
I think you can add that text crawl along with the way it's shot. I think it's shot on 16mm. I think when I looked up, it was 16 reverse.
I'll have a look for you.
Thank you. I think it was 16mm, 32mm. We're talking mid 70s, very, very, very low budget. I believe this was in the couple of $100,000, a couple of hundreds for a third time.
16mm. 16mm.
It was 16mm. Yeah, it's a couple of $100,000 this was made for, and that's nothing. So you're talking a nice 16mm, couple of $100,000, relatively unknown actors. And in the heat, the heat of Texas in the summer,
it is hot down there.
There has been a lot of reports over the years from the filming itself of how horrific it was to shoot, how ill cast and crew got from the heat. I can't even imagine. I think it'd be horrible shoot to work on.
I suppose you have to. I suppose this is a kind of a prime example of suffering for your art. I mean, like you said, they went through like the heat they had to endure, and this is in 1974, by the way. So can you imagine if they made this today? Nearly 50 years ago. Can you imagine if they made this today with that kind of budget and those conditions? In Texas, they probably would have passed out. It's
Yeah.
like, you know what? No, we're not making this film. This is stupid. We're going to make
Health
it in a...
and-
Although, to be fair, they probably would make it in a film set. Let's be
Health and
honest.
safety would have had
Nice
a field
air-cooled
day.
film set. Oh, yeah, they really would have.
Now,
They would have been like, yeah, nope. Stop doing it.
I mentioned about the tech scroll, the film quality, the unknown actors. It was kind of marketed towards being based like on true events. It wanted to give that impression,
Yeah.
and that's what I also love about it being having like a documentary type feel to it. Do you remember we talked once? I can't remember what episode it was. We talked once about how I personally don't really like it in these sort of horror films where actors try, quote unquote, to act. They don't
like the method actors.
Yeah, or really, really, really go into town
Where
when
they're
they're
not-
acting.
Yeah, so they're not acting. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
I am the character.
This
Yeah.
film, the main characters, which is Sally Hardesty and her brother, paraplegic brother, and their and her partner and another couple. So basically five people in one van traveling across Texas. I mean, I could go into the plot, but again, there's no doubt in my mind we will do an episode on this, going through the whole plot. They're traveling across Texas. They end up picking up a hitchhiker. Well, I mean, why would you in the middle of Texas pick up a hitchhiker? They didn't deserve what they got, but should have expected him to be a crazy ass as he was.
Yeah.
This pickup of the hitchhiker doesn't last for long, but they then end up stumbling.
It's a weird.
Yeah, they end up
super
stumbling
weird
into
interactions in that van.
Yeah.
I like that bit with the garage scene actually, because there's a little bit of comedy in there if you think about it, where they stop off at the garage, and obviously I think the ladies go into the garage. They're looking for some drinks, looking for something to cool down or something. And outside you've got there's a lad there who obviously washes the windows of the vans that pass around. And so the van stops and he walks up to the thing. And the guy says, no, it's okay. And so he goes, oh, all right. So he turns around and walks back. And at the same time, they ask this guy some other question. This is the garage owner they're asking questions. Yeah. So he turns around. The guy's like, oh, okay. So this poor bloke ends up walking backwards and forwards between his windshield, not actually cleaning it.
I love it.
Like 4 or 5 times. And I really love that scene because it's like, it's a horror film, but then they're like, just throwing a little dash of comedy in it. I so hope that was unscripted. And the guy was just like, I've got to walk back now. Oh, for crying out loud.
It's clearly not intentional for comedy, but I found it funny. Yeah, because you can imagine he's just, oh, God, I'm back again.
I just want to clean the window. God damn it.
I'm just trying to do my job here. Sorry, I'd lost my notes then for a second.
Good.
So as they're traveling across, they pass up on the hitchhiker because he is a absolute freak. Go watch the film, you'll see. They end up at this gas station. Now the gas station owner, somewhat affiliated with the hitchhiker. Leave it at that. After the gas station, they end up at Sally's family big homestead, big farm. Now as they're there, that is the last point of call of their travels. It's from that point onwards.
They've gone home, haven't they?
It's to their old home. It's derelict. It's a very derelict home.
A family, yeah.
But it's that point of call where they all start to, I'll say, picked off one by one. Not intentionally picked off, because similar to Jason, as we say, don't go to Crystal Lake, you'll be fine. Exactly. If you didn't go to this particular farmhouse, which it's not the right thing to say because in this farmhouse, a lot of stuff shouldn't be going on anyway. If you didn't go to this farmhouse, you'd probably still be here today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And quite easily.
It's the first introduction. Wait, that doesn't make sense. It would be. When you say the word introduction, that means first, obviously. Doesn't it? I just caught myself.
Yeah, it would. It would be the first
the second introduction.
Yeah, it would be the debut.
English. English is our first language.
English man.
The introduction of Leatherface himself, and the greatest looking version of Leatherface.
Yes, it really was. His mask just got weirder. I mean, I've only seen this one and well, no, okay, I've seen the new one. I've seen this one, the remake, or the 2000 whatever version remake. But oh my god, I looked at the masks for Leatherface, and they just look so weird.
Yeah, they get worse. They get much worse.
Yeah, the latest one is being hands down the weirdest one. But we're not talking about that because it's a terrible film.
No, we've talked about it. We don't need to talk about it anymore.
No.
But so yes, so one by one they just venture away from where they are parked at the house. But unfortunately, it's one by one where they venture into hell, an unknown hell. And for the third, I could probably split this into three thirds. This film, not thirds, acts. There we go. The third act is pretty much about the perils of Sally Hardesty and her just trying to escape hell. And look, again, back to the way it's shot, back to how impactful Leatherface is as a horror icon. It's a terrifying. It's just a terrifying creature. He is human, but he's not all there. He's less all there than Michael is.
Well, that's an interesting take. Who's less there, Michael or Leatherface? Because I think when we discussed the two of them, it was a little. I don't know if we caught it on tape, but it was. I think it was which slasher would we prefer not to come across. I think we both agreed that coming face to face with Michael, your chances are pretty much stuffed. Yeah. Whereas, because with Michael, he's never shown on camera to hesitate. He's going to get you. With Leatherface, he's shown to have some reasoning ability to a degree. He's shown to understand who his family is and not to harm them. Throughout the film series, so there's something in his brain that you may be able to be like, okay, if I leave, it's like with Sally, who is obviously it's not eventually, like you said, the perils of Sally trying to escape.
Yeah.
Even then, he doesn't just outright harm her. He tortures her. But it's I'm trying to explain this without spoiling the film.
Well,
it's quite hard.
He doesn't actually. He doesn't do anything to her. There's quite a big chase.
Yes, exactly.
There's quite a big chase that she endures for quite some time.
Oh, yeah.
But even towards the end of the film, when the chase is over and they're in a different scenario, still involving Leatherface and Sally, he's still not straight up going in for the kill with her. Whereas Michael doesn't torture.
No.
Well, apart from the newer films. Apart from the new films, Michael tortures a bit. Michael is kill.
Yeah.
Leatherface,
kill, move on.
Leatherface is so interesting because there is also a scene in this where, again, I think we talked about this in our Ghostface versus Leatherface. There's a scene where he's kind of like panicking a bit. There's people. Who are these strangers coming into my house? And all I know is kill. Like, oh god, I need to dispose of them quick. And there's a nice close-up scene of his face, his mask, his monstrosity, whatever is going on there. And for about 5 seconds, he's hands on his head. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
Yeah.
But then,
But
then 10 minutes later, that's clearly not helped him in any way because he's back to his chasing someone down with a chainsaw. So he's not all there. He's really not all there.
He's very I was going to say childlike, but I don't think that's the right word. He's very simple. As if you could kind of reason, very simple. It's kind of like he's a dog in a way. Like that's the only way I can describe it. So a dog is like, oh, this is my this is my pack. I have to protect my pack. He's very much like that. So with his family, you could say like these people are coming to his house, they're roaming around his house, and to him it's like, well, this is my family, this is my house. I have to protect my family. That's what I've been taught to do. And like you said, when it doesn't go his way, it's like you can see him losing that grip. Yeah. But then 10 minutes later, he's like, "Nah, that's all right. I've got my grip back." What I did like about this film, actually, just quickly nipping back to, is it Franklin? Franklin's the brother, isn't it?
Terrible Franklin name. Is Sally's brother.
Yes,
yeah.
Franklin is the brother, the paraplegic brother.
Yeah.
I think this was one of the very first films where one of the main characters is in a wheelchair, because that's not really something you would have seen in these older films, to have someone who is wheelchair bound.
Yeah, it was kind of like, fact. I don't know that fact off by heart, but that would... I'd buy it. I'd buy that fact, yeah.
Yeah. Which is why, I must admit, I was surprised when I saw the remake and they scrapped that. They got rid of that aspect, because Franklin in the remake is not in a wheelchair, which I think if they were going to remake it, I think if they kept it the same way, it may have been slightly better. I think if they kept all the characters the same.
It adds to Sally's struggle, because it also generates one of my favourite jump scares. If you're watching this with someone who has not seen this film, when Sally and Franklin are looking for the others, it is now descended upon nighttime. There is one of the best jump scares, in my opinion, in horror in this film, and the jump scare ramps up from a jump scare to brutality within about 3 seconds, and then it ramps back down.
Yes,
just that 3-second window, you'll be left with your mouth aghast. Yeah. I was trying to
remember which bit you were talking about, but now I'm like, oh yes, that bit. I remember now.
Yeah. Again, you don't want to spoil it. The thing with Leatherface as well, like I could talk a lot about Leatherface, because he is my favorite of the slashers. He really, because I kind of associate Jason, Michael together, the knife, the sharp utensil.
Yeah,
Freddy,
the machete.
Freddy and Pinhead, the kind of otherworldly, demonic phenomenon
thing.
Leatherface is just a hick. I don't know. Can I say that? Can I say that word? And I think that's what's more down. That's more down to earth. That's what brings it more down to earth. The fact that are there people like this, which kind of leads back to what this is in theory a little bit based on, being Ed Gein. Loosely based on, with Ed Gein, the notable grave robber. Not so much serial killer. I believe he did kill some people, but he did forge.
He did craft.
He did craft furniture and items in general out of people's flesh and bones, which is very much established in this film, as you see in their Leatherface's house. But it's Leatherface's house, but it's not just Leatherface. There is a family. And that really isn't marketed to people. When people think Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they think Leatherface, right?
Yeah.
But the family are as big as part of this horrific nightmare than Leatherface is. Especially the older brother, who a lot of people think is his dad because he's an old guy. They're basically 3 brothers. I'm not going to say anymore. I think I've said too much already. I keep saying I'm not going to say anymore, and I keep going more and more into it. But it's really more of a family. But of course, you have to focus on Leatherface because of his design, his look. It's more of a horror appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't put the older brother just there on the cover of the VHS.
No. Leatherface fits the... I mean, to be fair, Leatherface is... I know a lot of people say that Michael is the proto-slasher, but this film came out 4 years before Michael even hit the screens. Yep. So if anything, Leatherface is the true proto... I mean, to be fair, it's like we said, you had films like... What was it? So the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and then Black Christmas,
same day,
both came out in the same day. So in effect, those 2 films, I would say, are the true kind of precursor to what effectively Michael then took to the next level with Halloween. And then of course you had, Freddy came along, and then you had Jason, had Candyman, Chucky, Pinhead, and also the 80s kind of blew up for. It was weird. It was 1978 was a great year for horror because it kind of kicked off the genre into a bigger gear, and then you had the 80s where they kind of skyrocketed, and then it just died off before Scream kind of came back and went, oh no, hang on, here we go. And then of course it's kind of just sort of gone on from there.
The late 70s, it kicked off the 80s. It gave the 80s the kickstart it needed. Yeah. Now, as I mentioned earlier about the blood and gore, which there is none.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like you could tip that up to a Mandela effect. Because you know what the Mandela effect is?
I'm vaguely familiar with it. Yeah, when you start talking about it, I'm sure I remember it.
It's things like where people go, do a Darth Vader impression. He goes, Luke, I am your father. He never said, Luke, I am your father. He said, no, I am your father. So it's things like that.
But it's over time, it's become, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is a Morpheus one that he says a line that he doesn't actually say. It's in a meme, a Morpheus meme going around.
Oh, I got to look this up.
I can't remember what it is, but the Mandela effect of this, in my eyes, is the blood and gore. I mean, especially the fact the title says Massacre. It's not really. Not many people die in this film, and there's not near enough no blood and guts on show. In fact, out of the whole series, it's probably the tamest. Out of every single one, and there's a lot, it's probably the tamest in the whole series. Yet, it's probably still the scariest to some, but more horrific to some.
I would say that any debut of the, the iconic slashers that we now, that we love, are always most likely going to be the scariest ones when you first have them rocking out on the screen, because that's where you remember them. You remember saying, "Oh, I remember when I saw Michael Myers in Halloween," and you first see him. Because I think the first shot we fully get to see of Michael Myers is when Laurie spots him, and he's just standing by that fence with the tap, like the washing just blowing, and people are like, "Oh yeah, that's when you first see Michael." Similar with Jason, Jason's iconic mask didn't appear till a little bit later, but it's always the debut films because let's face it, the first entry in the franchises is always most likely going to be the best one. Because, sequelitis is a real thing, and, sequels usually suck after that.
I think, actually,
with the exception of a few.
I think in Halloween, I'm just thinking, you got me thinking, first time you see Michael in the suit, I don't know if it might be when the three girls are walking home from school and he stood by a hedge, and then he walks behind the hedge, and then he's gone. Or it's when he's in the car stalking them. I can't think off the top of my head right now. It is nearly 9:30 p.m. But that's good enough.
Yes, that's true.
That's good enough. So a couple
I was looking at the Morpheus Mandela.
Oh yeah. What
a lot of people. The Mandela meme is: what if I told you that Morpheus never says, "What if I told you" in the Matrix films? He doesn't actually say that. He actually says, "Do you know what it is?" Not "What if I told you."
But what's weird is you can hear Lawrence Fishburne in your head saying that, and it's so weird.
Yeah, I know.
Mandela effect is so interesting.
There is one from Jaws as well, actually. Obviously, the classic line, "We're going to need a bigger boat," is never said. It's actually, "You're going to need a bigger boat." But of course, people assume it's, "We're going to need a bigger boat." There is one from the Fellowship of the Ring where apparently people assume he's saying, "Run, you fools." But I'm like,
it's not, it's fly.
He definitely says, "It's fly, you fools." He's like, "I'm sure I've got that one." Yeah. Oh, I do love it.
Interesting.
What was that other weird thing? It was like, it's like the Bernstein Bears or the Berenstein Bears.
Yeah.
It was something weird. It was like, people are like, "Oh, I remember the Berenstein Bears," and it's like, who are they? They never existed.
Yeah.
But because people talk about them, they're like, they must exist. It's like, no, it's just something that's just appeared in an alternate dimension.
From the event horizon.
I could talk about that for
So, I could talk about this film all day, but we're not going to do that.
Oh yes.
We'll save that for our review. But what I will go into just quickly is how I first heard about this film and discovered this film. So, don't know the exact age, but I do know. I think it was around 13, 14. I think around the middle of secondary school. And a friend in my friendship group, I remember his dad was a horror nerd and had all the VHSs. So obviously he got to see a lot of these because why not? Why would he not? And I remember overhearing at school him talk about, you heard about this Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible. Like, it's so gory, and oh my god, you see all these guts coming out, and I nearly felt sick. And me being a young Tom Jr. at that point, being into being way into horror from having Sci-Fi Channel at 10 p.m. at night, all those films.
Yeah,
I had to.
Great channel.
I had to know. I had to know. And back then, it was about tape trading. It was about borrowing.
Yeah,
you didn't have the access we had now, kids. You didn't have streaming services.
No.
We had to borrow stuff or go rent them from Blockbusters.
Yep. Oh, Blockbuster.
And we did rent it. We did, me and my sister, we rented this for a night. And she was terrified. But for me, I was scared, but it was filled with more intrigue. I wanted to watch it again. I wanted to catch things I'd missed. I just wanted to see it again because this was so out of the ordinary for me. I'd never seen anything like it. And I did have the mindset of, are there people like this in the world? I'm not watching a monster film here. That is the scariest bit for me, I think, is that if I go backpacking again, if I went traveling again to some remote area of land, am I going to encounter sick people like this? And do you know what?
Yeah.
There's a slim chance maybe in this fucked up world that might happen. And that's a scary point. That's a scary thing about it, really. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. I think that's why a lot of people, especially when they're watching horror-ish or horror-ish, thriller-ish, it's when you get that little bit of text which is based on real events or based on real people. For me, I always find those much more disturbing because you're like, oh my gosh, that actually has happened. Whereas, with more Jason and Freddy and Chucky, you're more like, well, I mean, that's up to your own personal beliefs if you think that, that kind of stuff could happen. But with like Leatherface and, Michael to a degree, I don't know where his newest film's going, but Michael and Leatherface, they're just people. They're just normal people who have something wrong with them. And that is what kind of gives them a little bit more of a chill factor. Because like you said, there could be someone who has watched, I don't know, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is not quite right in his brain and gone, oh my gosh, if I could find a chainsaw, I could do this.
Yeah.
And that's when the gears start ticking. And I think that's what gives, especially Leatherface and, like I said, Michael, a bit more of a, because they are just normal people. Well, obviously, normal people with slightly...
some sense of
non-functioning... Yeah, some sense of the word. Yeah, that's why I like watching things which are based on real people or events, because you're like, this actually happened. Oh my god, this actually happened. That's pretty messed up. Yep.
And that is why is my number one. That is my numero uno of horror films of all time. We did it. And I recorded it all.
Oh, yes.
We got through our top
finally got
fives.
the episode done.
We find for all three of them.
Yeah, this three episodes have... it was plagued by so many problems. The first episode we recorded for 3 hours and then we lost it. Then we went to record it the second time and I wasn't well. Well, I thought I was
You
well.
were ill.
I thought I was just tired, but then I was ill. The next day I was pretty bad, so we couldn't record it then. Then we had like a week off because I just could not do anything.
Yeah.
And then we finally got back to it.
We got it.
Yes, it's done.
We got it done. So that is our top
five. To be
five.
fair, this is the longest running segment on this podcast so far.
Yep. And I hope you all are able to take something away from this, and hope some of the films will be new to you, so you can get first experiences, because everyone envies everyone else's first experiences to some of their favourite things.
They really do.
Films, music, games, whatever. So hopefully whoever's listening to this can take it away and go watch some amazing horror films. But
make a day of it, like we said.
Make a day of it. Yeah. And until next time, which we did tease earlier, there is a somewhat holiday themed review coming soon. And
it's going to be amazing.
From what you've seen it, I haven't seen it, so I'm looking forward to it.
I've seen it. It's I can't wait to get that text of you going, I've just watched it just to see this. What the fuck was this film?
You will probably get that, yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But until then, where can they find us? Where can they find this here podcast?
Well, they can hear this podcast on most major streaming platforms, such as Podbean, Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Plus, you can check us out on YouTube as well. I think I've missed a streaming one. I did miss one, did I?
Google.
And Google. There we go.
Google Podcast.
Yes, and Google as well. This is why Tom is the better of the human beings out of the two of us, because he remembers these things. I forget them. It's just I have terrible memory. But you can also check him out on YouTube as well, if you prefer to. You can catch him on my channel and on Tom's channel as well. There will potentially be a Dreadcast YouTube channel at some point. The gears are slowly building for that, so don't worry, that will come a bit later on. But do check him out on both of our YouTube channels. You can find mine at Tainted Souls. Just look for the ghost, you'll find him. I actually changed the channel header. It's now got a little Grim Reaper thing as well.
Oh, lovely.
Well, it's a cute look. It's like a chibi Grim Reaper-y looking thing. So there you go. I saw it. I was like, I've got to have that. Where can they find your YouTube channel?
They find my YouTube channel at Gaming Grindhouse, which is also the same as my Twitch channel, Gaming Grindhouse. And you can follow myself on Twitter at Tom Grindhouse. I believe that's
you can find me anywhere on Twitch and Twitter and Instagram at Tainted Souls, and just clicking on the ghost. That's where you'll find me. Oh yeah,
lovely. Well, until next time, go
check out the earlier episodes.
Go check out the earlier episodes and go hug your mum.
Yeah, go hug your mum. It's Mother's Day.
Mother's Day soon.
In 3 days? No, wait. How many days? 5 days? 5 days as of recording this.
Go spend some time with your mother. Go spend some time.
I still haven't bought one. Yeah, go spend some time with your mother. Maybe listen to the Dreadcast with her. Watch a horror film or two.
There you go.
She'll love them.